Hi boys and girls. Okay, today we are going to be creating the background for our Love Monster art. We are going to be using a printmaking method inspired by our artist Jay Goldcrown, and he does overlapping hearts. So we're going to be doing that very same thing, and here's kind of an example of what we're going to do. We are going to be overlapping some hearts onto our paper. Okay, so you will have a stamper made out of a toilet paper roll, and you and your partner are going to start with white. We're going to all start with white paint. And if you stamp and it doesn't come out very good the first time, so like if you look at this, if this isn't working very good, I'm going to go ahead and do one. If it works great, then good for you. But oh, what did Mrs. Walker forget to do on the back of my paper? Yep, I hope you didn't forget this. You want to put your name and class code on the back of your paper. You're either in 1A, or you're in 1B, or you're in 1C. Go ahead and circle it too, so that Mrs. Walker knows what class code you're in. And then you're going to flip that over, and then we are ready to print. Now you can print yours this way or this way. If you print it this way, remember our we maybe haven't made him yet, but your love monster is going to be pretty big. So I like to do it this way, so that then when I put him in here, you can see all of my beautiful hearts. Okay, so remember, the outside is probably the most important part, because we're going to put our love monster drawing in the center, and it'll cover up some of them. So I'm going to worry about, well, actually, maybe I'll practice in the middle here. Oh, that's a good one. Okay, I'm going to just go ahead and do these all around. So this is a pretty good stamper. I'm going to take some of that paint and move it around. Now you want to leave some space in between, because we're going to add more colors, okay? So don't do them touching yet, okay? Your white ones should not be touching your white ones. We're going to add some colored ones in here. So there, I've got most of my spaces kind of filled in. It's pretty evenly spaced. I'm not worried about this one right here, because I know my love monster is probably going to cover that up, and actually it might be kind of fun to have one that's like that. Okay, once you're done, and your partner's done, you're going to raise your hand, and then Mrs. Walker will come around with another color. And you know how this works. You get what you get, and you don't throw a fit, right? So whatever color you get is the color you'll be stamping with. So I'm going to be stamping with this pink, and I'm not worried about it, because this pink has actually had white already added to it to lighten it a little bit. So you're going to just go ahead and dip your white right back into there and stamp away, okay? And you can overlap. For this one, you're going to overlap. So that means you're going to have it touching a little bit. See how that one overlapped that a little bit? I didn't do it right on top of it, but I overlapped. You don't want so many that you can't see your hearts, but you want to have a nice amount. So I want to be sure I go to the edges here. Remember how I said, and we've got our messy mat, so if it gets off of the mat a little bit, that's okay. You want to go to the edges, because that's the part that's really going to be seen. This part in the middle, we're probably not going to see that, but I'm going to stamp in there anyway, just in case, okay? Now, if we have time, maybe you'll get to do 3 colors. I don't know how time will work with this, depending on your class, if we have time. So, if you get to do a second color, I mean, other than white in your first color, you're going to want to flip yours over and use the other side, because we don't want to put this color into the new color, okay? So if that's you, and of course your partner has to be done too, and then you'll just both raise your hands, and when your hand is up, Mrs. Walker will come around and see if I think you're ready for another color. And then, if time allows, you might get to put a third one on there, okay? So I'm going to try this end. Now, if mine doesn't stamp very good, because I did have some kids, their stamper didn't work very good. If yours doesn't stamp, be sure you kind of tip it all directions like that. This one's actually working pretty good too. But I did have some that just would not stamp a heart shape. Let me know if that happens to you just by raising your hand, and I'll come around. And I have figured out that if I use the scissors and cut off the end, sometimes I can freshen up the end and make it work better. So raise your hand if you have a problem. Mrs. Walker will see what she can do. Now, I don't want to do so many hearts in here, though, that you can't see my hearts, right? I don't want to overlap too much. So I'm about done here. I don't want to overdo it. There might be a space right there, okay? But once you feel like you've filled in the empty spaces, then go ahead and take this to the drying rack, and you're going to leave these on your table for your partner to finish. If your partner's done though, you can bring this whole thing to the back counter for Mrs. Walker, okay? Or the side counter if we're at Grantwood.